The science of nuclear energy. In order to make nuclear energy, first we go out in the desert somewhere, in places where most people usually don't inhabit, and we find hundreds and thousands of acres of land to go get millions of dollars worth of equipment to dig up. And we scrape the top of the soil off, and then we get down to the good stuff, and we start pulling tons, millions of tons of dirt out of the earth with huge machines that were made and planned for a decade before this all started happening, because this is big planning. This is billion-dollar industry and life cycles that are measured in decades, not minutes and not tomorrow. So the earth gets ripped open and piled up, and we begin processing it. Somewhere is a huge plant that crushes the rocks and smashes the rocks out. From these rocks, with chemical and mechanical digestions, we're trying to separate out just parts per billions. Parts per billions from these rocks. We're going to process a billion parts of rock to get 1 part of atomic materials. Largest energy consumption is in the refining of the materials. So once that quarry and that chemical process is done, and all the native people's lands around are destroyed, their drinking water's messed up, there's no longer any nature to the area for them to live and consist off of. Not that they could anyway, because we gave them some pretty tough lands to live on. So there's step one. Let's go mine. Go search for open pit mines. Go search for uranium mining in America. Go look at what they're going to do to a part of the Grand Canyon. I hope some's left for our grandkids or your grandkids to enjoy, eh? So there's step one to nuclear processing. You go dig up tons of earth and process tons of earth, and you take a generating station worth of power from miles away to crush those rocks. Now you've got waste streams. I've got a video I'll link in here about just processing for the purity of the uranium. They're looking for 2 isotopes, U-235 and 238 or 239. And they separate those out in a number of ways, but the major way is gas centrifuges using uranium hexafluoride. This is where the CFCs were used for decades past, when they were outlawed, is in the second step of the refinement process. We're still refining here. It takes even more energy to get those few isotopes separated out than it did to harvest the dirt that we separated out to get the few isotopes. No one has showed the cost life cycles of this, has put it all together. Once they're done, there's a huge open pit mine somewhere that will never be the same. Can we restore it to some type of useful nature? Is it safe? No, probably not. The drinking water is bad. So they go and they process the uranium next, and they've got byproducts. Those are called tailings from this very precise outcast. The mine tailings are huge, but the second set of tailings come in depleted uraniums. Because so much dirt is processed, this tailings, the mine tailings, and the precise sizes of the materials, exact sizes, they're used in drilling mud. Because the science of drilling requires exact mud. Yeah, this is how this stuff works. So we're playing in drilling mud now that is radioactive, because it's tailings, it's cleanup, and all the heavy metals and everything else we can talk about in mining. So I'm almost at 5 minutes, and we've just started to mine, we've just started to process. We've already got at least 2 major commercial electric utilities supplying decades of power to the mine, to the processing station. In processing, right, in this purification, we haven't even gotten to making fuel yet. All we've done is we've found ultra high purity materials at a cost to the planet that nobody talks about. So now we've got the stuff processed. Again, the video will be down in the link. It's just a short, but it is the most energy intensive short on how we purify, how the Iranians are purifying. We gave them the technology, we gave them the blueprints for the plant. This is a game. All right, so second 5 minutes. We just got done processing. We've got our high purity uranium U-235 and the other. Now we're going to package them up and ship them somewhere else to another plant. This facility is going to make fuel pellets out of them. It has stocks of ultra high purity metals that is required, that were mined somewhere else in another process, and they're going to mix and build these into fuel pellets to go into a nuclear submarine, a commercial nuclear ship, which these are beginning to happen. You understand the issues with nuclear already, right? So while we're talking about it, it's been going on. Russia is fixing to do some nuclear stuff. Iran's processing fuel. It's got to go in something, or it's got to be reburied as super hazardous waste. So we've got fine little amounts of dust. We've got ounces or grams or maybe pounds of dust. We're going to turn around and turn that back into fuel rods that weigh tons. Fuel rods that are mixed better than any mix. Go find the videos. You can find the labs on just the fuel rod building, right? You can find the videos on mineral resource mining, and it's awesome. It's inspiring in what we can do, and it's disheartening in what we do with it. So now we've got these fuel rods built. We've got a huge fuel facility here that is sitting on how much irradiated waste materials, metals that can never, ultra high purity metals, really nice steels and alloys to make all of this stuff, is now nuclear waste. When that plant's done 30 years from now, the corporation that's running it for the federal government is going to walk away, and taxpayer dollars are going to clean it up. It's like the air bases that, or the military bases, using chemicals that the chemical companies knew better. But we're the military. We just do, and we do well when we want to. So now I've got me some nuclear fuel rods, right? What do I do with a nuclear fuel rod? I already suggested we put it in a commercial thing, we put it in a military thing. Well, those commercial things cost more to build. Those reactors, the engineering on top of them, cost more to build than square miles of renewable energy. Square hectares of renewable energy, energy that we can take the panels down, we can take the windmills down, we could take the ocean driven propellers apart and remold and recast them. They are not contaminated for the rest of humanity. We can reuse those things. Commercial nuclear walks away from their profits. They sell that plant for a profit to another limited liability corporation that's going to get the state and federal government to pay every penny of a cleanup that most people have no idea of. They're going to buy their Learjets and their politicians, and they're going to throw their parties. And the parties are going to be at elderly mansions that are now foundation properties that they only visit once a year. This is big, big business, folks. This is rubbing elbows with people with more fucking money than you've ever been near. These are reasons to shake when you deal with these people. One flippant word from them can change your life, change your career, lose your insurance. This is the lands of Donald Trumps talking to each other. This is the land where we give these folks all kinds of tax breaks. This is America that we have created. It is not about a lady's, a young man's or woman's or anybody's crotches. This is the most ridiculous arguments I have heard in quite some time, and yet we tolerate it. We want politicians and religious leaders in the crotches of America, and somehow they want to be there. Settled sciences, settled knowledge. Huh? I need a job. Thank you. Thank you if you got this far.